We're joined now by Kristen Welker, moderator of Meet the Press, and NBC's senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
About last night, let's talk about Tim Walz. This was his moment. Did he deliver?
This was the biggest speech of his political career. He introduced himself to the American public. So in that sense, yes, he delivered. He cast himself as the coach. They even had teammates from the team that he coached when he was a high school teacher come out on stage to help introduce him. So he tried to cast himself as a relatable dad. There was that emotional moment when his son, Gus, started crying. He said, "That's my dad." They believe that those types of optics will have to reach out to independent, moderate voters, as well as filling in details of his biography. The fact that he's a gun owner, he says he supports the Second Amendment, but also wants kids to be safe. And he showed he can throw a punch against Trump, Savannah.
It's interesting you mentioned independence. Yeah. Hallie, we had Oprah Winfrey. She came on. She said, "I'm a registered independent." Yeah. She said it before, but here she is at the Democratic National Convention. She's obviously endorsed some Democratic candidates in recent years. But what do you make of her making that particular pitch?
It's an example of the strategy that the Harris-Walz campaign wants to execute on here, which is to both expand the tent, expand the number of people they can bring in to back Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, while also really trying to get that base supercharged. Oprah Winfrey's speech last night, very sweeping, very much about the ideals that Democrats want to be fighting for. She talked about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, but less so than she talked about freedom and democracy and equal rights and civil rights as well. So interesting to hear her reference her own sort of being a registered independent and what that means. You also saw that from some on stage, like some of these former Trump administration officials who came out and basically tried to give permission to Republicans to say it's okay to vote for a Democrat. The former Georgia Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan said that actually means you're a patriot.
Well, it's interesting because, look, people are taking their shots at Donald Trump either by name or implicitly. There's no question about it. But it does seem that Democrats are trying to corner the market on joy and hope.
Yes.
I mean, Michelle Obama herself said, hope is making a comeback. Of course, that was hope was Obama's theme in 2008.
Here's what was so interesting about that. It seems as though the Democrats have realized that the message from the Biden campaign, trying to warn people about the threat that they say Trump poses to the democracy, was not working.
The negative argument.
The negative argument. So we're hearing all of this positivity, joy, hope. Reminds you of 2008, Barack Obama. They are trying to make the case that that will energize voters.
And watch for Kamala Harris to make that case tonight. Campaign officials saying that it's going to be about lightness versus darkness. What they see as this sort of dark, ominous, grievance-filled campaign from the Trump-Vance team, and a real contrast to that in her remarks.
Well, the other thing is patriotism. I mean, the chance of USA breaking out all through this convention hall all week. I mean, that was not always the kind of chant you'd hear at a Democratic National Convention.
It's not, and I think what's fascinating about it, Savannah, patriotism. She's not necessarily going to cast this against the backdrop of her historic candidacy. Instead, again, just as Hallie was saying, she's going to try to have a message that helps to expand the tent, that helps to reach out to those undecided voters. Some of those Robert F. Kennedy voters, by the way. He's getting about 5% of the vote right now in a very close race. Those voters, once he drops out, could be up for grab and could make all the difference.
Every vote is going to count. I mean, it does every year, but even more so when the margins really are so tight. Hallie and Kristen, want to do it one more night?
Let's do it
one
again.
more early morning?
We're ready.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.